no matter what else is going on out there, I'm this crazy spiritual being, this consciousness in a body, and I get to like breathe in air, and that's pretty sweet.
You're listening to Inside Acting, a podcast dedicated to demystifying the inner and outer game of success in the entertainment industry. I'm Trev and AJ, and coming up in episode 264, I sit down for part one of my chat with producer, executive coach, and performance consultant Michael Balchan. Michael does a lot of different things, but as you'll hear, we quickly get to the heart of, coincidentally, what he and I both feel is the quickest and surest way to level up in life, in relationships, and in career, and that is mindfulness. In part one today, Michael and I chat about how he got his start in life, and we get a nice feel for his philosophy, which is probably best summed up this way: never-ending improvement. If one of your New Year's resolutions is to be more present, mindful, and intentional, then this interview series is for you. Stay with us. Support for this episode of Inside Acting comes from Rehearsal Pro, the next version of Rehearsal, the essential app for actors, which is now available in the iTunes App Store. If you want to learn your lines, if you want to be off book for your auditions, explore your character, make stronger choices, and really up your chances of going into the room and booking the office, this is the app for you. Rehearsal.pro/IAP. Go there right now to learn all about the kick-ass new features in this newest version of Rehearsal, as well as a few new features that will be coming out very, very soon that I think everybody's going to be stoked about. I've been fortunate enough to be testing some of these features, and they're pretty game-changing. So check it out. Rehearsal.pro/IAP. It's a groundbreaking app. It's designed by actors for actors. Get it, live it, love it. Thank us later. Rehearsal.pro/IAP. So hey guys, it's Trev. It's short and sweet this week. We've got a really awesome interview series coming up with Michael Balchan. He and I had a great, it must have been like an hour and 20 minutes or so that we chatted yesterday. All about mindfulness, all about intentionalism, which is not a word, I just made that up. But it's really, really, if you ask me, and if you ask Michael, it's really the core of a rewarding life and career. And like I said, in the intro, in relationships as well. It's like once you're mindful and intentional about what you're doing, you catch yourself in these habitualized, triggered responses to all the stuff that life throws at us every day. You really have the opportunity to take things to the next level and create your life, design it from a quiet, powerful, peaceful place. I know I probably sound a little new agey right now, but I really, really believe in this stuff. I'm personally, as you'll hear me say in the interview, I'm personally on like a 567-day streak with meditation right now, and it's just been a real game changer for me. So I'm excited to be sharing this interview with the community. So as far as updates go, AJ has a quick snippet that he recorded that he sent me that I'm going to play in just a moment here. But quick updates on me, just because I know there might be a person out there too who are wondering. Voiceover has really been taking up most of my time lately, and in a very good way. It's paying actually most of my bills this month. It's been good to me these past 45 days or so. And in addition to that, the first class of the VO to Go-Go curriculum kicks off this year. And we're doing something cool this year. I alluded to it not too long ago on the podcast, but we're flipping the classroom, which means that essentially, instead of coming in to the class and then learning all the material right there and then hopping on the mic and applying it like right away, you actually learn the material ahead of time online at your own pace from your own home in your pajamas or whatever. You learn it, before you come in. And then when you come in, you just bring in the questions that you have, things that you want to explore, go deeper on, and we talk about that, we explore that, and we spend most of the time, if not all the time, on the mic, really working in those ideas and implementing all those things. So I'm really excited for how this is going to go. I think it's really going to be a game changer. I say that word a lot, don't I? Game changer. I think it's going to be a big deal as far as really helping people apply the things they learn with this voiceover stuff. And voiceover is kind of starting to become my main bread and butter, and that's a really nice feeling. I really believe in this curriculum. So check it out if you haven't already, vo2gogo.com. Of course, you guys know that you can add a /start to the end of that URL to get the free starter course. Join me in class. The next class is this coming Sunday, the 29th of January. You can jump in anytime because now all the learning is done online at your own pace, but I would love to see you in class with me in Hollywood at 5 p.m., usually the third or fourth Sunday of the month. Lastly, I've been doing a lot of writing. A while ago, I finished National Novel Writing Month, and I put down about 54,000 words of a memoir, which was just about the first couple years of my life in LA. Really a 2-month period or so in there that was just filled with gnarliness because I was a puppy and a kid and a people pleaser, and I didn't know what to do or how to read people, and I kind of made a lot of bad choices in my desperation to make a success of this whole acting thing. And it's something I've been carrying with me for a long time, and I finally, a year or two ago, put it all down in writing in just a big kind of vomit draft. And through the process of doing the morning pages in the artist's way, which we're all doing together in the membership right now, you'll hear AJ talk about this in his catch-up segment in just a moment. I'm really kind of gaining more courage and finding myself much more easily able to communicate ideas and concepts and feelings and experiences, and I'm judging myself a lot less harshly. And I find myself being far more creative in little ways throughout the day. And one way that this is manifesting is, of course, with the voiceover work, but also with me finally having the balls to reopen this manuscript, this rough draft of this memoir, and start really reworking it, adding some structure to it and revisiting it and tightening things up and making it into something that I can then take to the next level. And I'm thinking big with this, guys. I'm thinking like I want to get an agent. I want to learn how to submit to publishers. I want to get a book deal for this. Why not? There's the self-publishing option, but I really want to see where I can go with this. I really am beginning to see myself as much more of a writer and a voiceover artist first, and then all the other stuff kind of second. So that's what's new in my world. Excited now to hear from AJ. He's got some interesting things to share on his journey with the artist's way and the morning pages. So I'm going to toss the mic over to him.
Hey guys, it's AJ. I don't have a lot to update in terms of anything acting specific. Got a couple of auditions, some play readings I'm involved with, and some things I'm putting on tape and classes, workshops, the usual stuff. So instead I wanted to talk about the Artist Way cluster, creative cluster that we've got going on in the membership, and more specifically than that, talk about the impact that it's having on me right now, and therefore extending a sort of, I guess you would call it recommendation or big learn from the week to all of you. The biggest thing that I wanted to impress upon every single one of our listeners is, we've talked a lot about on the podcast about acting being autobiography and how the most interesting stuff about us is the stuff we typically don't like about ourselves, right? Like the ugly stuff, the warts, the blemishes, the things we'd rather sort of keep from the outside world. And one thing that I'm noticing about this journey through the Artist's Way is that introspection and self-awareness and really getting underneath the crap that is all piled on top of our authentic selves is the key to unlocking our greatest artistic potential, really. So however that manifests in your life, and by that I mean the things that are holding you back, whether or not you're aware of it, that's step one, is getting to, figuring out what exactly is holding me back. And am I willing to really look at it? A lot of us tend to avoid the stuff that we find to be scary or if something's holding us back, there's usually a payoff for that. And so we avoid looking at it because it's easier to just go along with what we've always known as opposed to grow. Julie Cameron talks about there being a lot of pain in growth, and that going sane sometimes makes you feel crazy. That's a direct quote from the book. The artist's way is not the only way, but it is important that you find what can work for you in terms of shaking things up, having breakthroughs, having breakdowns that lead to breakthroughs, and doing whatever it takes to really get to the heart of the matter. And typically, you'll find it in the scariest of places. And I think that's why many of us don't end up doing it. So if there's something that you feel is holding you back, and you know that up to this point, it has been much easier for you to just go along with it because there's a big enough payoff that you're willing to just accept it, then my challenge to you, my invitation to you, is to really get underneath what's causing that thing, whether it be procrastination or a lack of self-worth or a lack of confidence or, who knows, really figuring out what that thing is, what the payoff is and why you've allowed it to continue for so long, and then do the work to get underneath it. And it takes time. It takes being consistent, and it takes time. And finding what works to have those breakthroughs. So whether it's journaling, the morning pages have been huge for me, or whether it's reading books on the subject or having some kind of experiential something. But I can almost guarantee you that your greatest artistic achievements are on the other side. And we're here. Trevor's here. I'm here. We're here to support you. And I believe in you.
One of the most powerful insights I had from doing the artist's way, not only the last time, but when I've attempted it many times before, was that understanding that AJ just mentioned, which is, what's the payoff for staying stuck? When you're angry or you're judging someone or you're feeling trapped in a job or a career or a stagnation of some kind, whenever you're really experiencing anything negative, it's so powerful to ask yourself, what's the payoff for me staying here, for me nursing this emotion? What's the payoff? What am I getting out of this? Ooh, that's a noodle bake. So thank you, AJ, for sharing that. And again, for any of you listening that would like to join us in the artist's way, in the membership, please do. If you're not a member yet, you can sign up at insideacting.net/members. And we'd love to see you in there and go on this journey with us. All right, it is time to chat with Michael Balchan, part one of our chat, which again is all about mindfulness and meditation. We even take you through a little meditation in this interview segment. So enjoy part one today, guys, with my chat with Michael Balchan, and I'll see you on the other side. Hey everybody, this is Trev, and I'm really stoked to be on one end of a Skype call with Michael Balchan, who is a producer, executive coach, and performance consultant. And actually, Michael, we were just talking before we started recording, and describing you as a producer, executive coach, and performance consultant is really just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of things that you are involved in, that you're about, and a lot of sort of the deep inner work stuff that we've been talking about on the show over the past few years. So really, really excited to have you and to dive deep today. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited, honored to be here. I love what you guys are doing.
So lots to talk about here. I was looking at your website, and you've got a lot of really wonderful sort of wisdom nuggets, for lack of a better description, on there, and some great blog posts. And you're big into meditation and acceptance. And would stoicism even be something that you would think would apply to you?
Yeah, for sure.
There's just so much to explore here. So I'm really excited. But in order to sort of find a way into these varied sort of topics, let's go ahead and start at the beginning and give us a little bit of a primer on how you kind of got started on the path that you're on.
You know, depending on how far back you want to go, it started growing up just in the Midwest and with this, amazing family, and grew up in a town called Springfield, Ohio, which is, it won the award for like the most average American town.
That's where the Simpsons are from, aren't they?
Yeah. So there was a debate for a long time. I think that Springfield, Oregon was the one that actually like won. I think they had a contest a couple years ago.
Okay.
But we like to argue for a long time that they were from there. And kind of did everything growing up as a result of my parents kind of saying, hey, you should do this and this and this, and me just like, yeah, okay, cool, whatever. That got me to Harvard. Had a great time at Harvard. This kind of magical place that I was not a goal at all, but just kind of checked the box for common application and got in. So I was like, cool, I'll go here. Graduated from there, went to Chicago, where I worked as a gold and oil commodity trader for about 7 years, doing a lot of stuff on the side while I was trading, including this production company with one of my roommates from college, actually, Eric Schultz. We were really close in school, and film was his passion. And I was like, dude, I don't like whatever you want to do. I'd love to support you. No matter what it was, it happened to be film. And so he was writing a script, bouncing ideas back and forth. And it got to the point where it was like, okay, we've got this script that's in a pretty good spot, and what's the next place to go with it? And as well, we can either try and sell it or start a production company. And the next time we chatted, he's like, hey, start a production company.
That's awesome.
We've had, a ton of success. We've been fortunate to partner with a lot of great people, which I think is, relationships are the key to everything. Eventually left the trading industry, started an executive coaching and leadership consulting practice, which was something I always felt called to do, but had a little bit of imposter syndrome, and also didn't have the courage to actually go for it until I did. The blog was a part of that. Started writing 4 years ago, just a way to really just explore all these ideas that I was seeing online, and to try and get a better understanding of them myself, and hopefully have other people benefit from it. It's been an awesome experience. They say, and I can't remember who I heard this from first, but essentially, like, I don't know what I think until I write it. Like, I think I know what I think, but it's not until I actually go to write and say like, oh, I actually have no idea.
Yeah.
And so to force yourself to put cohesive thoughts on a paper really clarifies your thinking.
Yeah, I just shared that quote on my Twitter like 3 or 4 weeks ago, that exact quote. So I know exactly what you're talking about. And it's so true. Like, sometimes we need to get it out to understand what it really is that we're sort of cradling there. Really interesting journey that you've had. It sounds almost like you were sort of, if we sort of look at the Elizabeth Gilbert, jackhammer versus hummingbird analogy or approaches to life, it sounds like you're more on the hummingbird spectrum.
I actually don't. What's the jackhammer and hummingbird? I love Gilbert's Big Magic, but I don't know. I don't remember that.
Yeah, I don't know if that was included in the book, but she did a famous talk on for Oprah's Super Soul Sunday, and she basically talked about how, a lot of her advice used to revolve around like, find your passion and then just hammer away at it. Just, find what you love and do that. And a lot of people, she found, that approach didn't resonate with them. They didn't know how to identify their passion, and they were much more interested in dabbling here and dabbling there and exploring this and exploring that and leaning into these impulses and inner nudges that they had. And so she defines the passion people as the jackhammer people, and the hummingbirds as the people that kind of dabble, for lack of a better term, and then in their dabbling end up, cultivating an entire forest of interests and also kind of cross-pollinating many other people's artistic journeys.
Flutter from flower to flower. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean that's exactly it. When I was very early on in my trading career, and I love that industry. It was great to me, and it was competitive and fast paced and all these kind of fun things that I really loved. But there was a piece missing of like producing something, some sort of higher purpose or contributing to the world other than, making financial gains, which you can use as energy to create as well. And there's a side of that that's that's worth honoring. But really started thinking, okay, well, what else is out there? And really quickly realized that there's just so much wisdom. We sit on this 2,000-3,000 year collection of human experiences and thought. And like, surely some people have had some brilliant ideas. And so I thought, I better get really good at learning. Took some speed reading courses, memory optimization, optimal learning strategies, and just dove in and read kind of across the board, did 300 book summaries, and was taking courses online on everything from quantum mechanics to philosophy to project management, film studies, psychology, just, across the board, not knowing like, what am I passionate about? And even had that a fear around like, if I don't know what I'm passionate about, how can I ever do that? Like everyone says, follow your passion and live your passion. It's like, shit, I don't know my passion. Like I can't ever live it if I don't know it. But just trying to learn, and not just like take in the information, but actually practice it, apply it to my own life. And the more that I kind of talked with people, the more that certain things tended to resonate and really add value to their life. The current business is a coaching and consulting model. I'm sure that will shift and pivot in the years to come, just as the world changes.
You've got such a multifaceted journey, and I do want to definitely touch on the producer aspect of your journey, because I think a lot of our listeners will really tune into that. But you also have written a book recently on meditation.
Yeah, I just meditated before getting on this call. Just a short one, like 10 minutes. I'd had a bunch of client calls earlier in the day, and it's a great way to get a little reset in the afternoon. I'm all in on meditation. It was one of the first things I found that really helped me manage the stress during trading. I've meditated, I think, maybe 3.5 years now without missing a day. I use a headband half the time to measure my brain waves.
Oh, cool.
And kind of have
you got one of those.
feedback. Yeah. But just to take some time and like to sit and breathe and to recognize no matter what else is going on out there, I'm this crazy spiritual being, this consciousness in a body, and I get to like breathe in air, and that's pretty sweet. To create a little bit of space between myself and my thoughts, and to recognize that like every thought that I have isn't necessarily true. And also that like I don't have to listen to it. So somebody cuts me off in traffic, rather than getting pissed off and honking the horn and road rage or whatever. Sometimes it's like a fun, like I wonder what's going on in his life that makes him feel the need to like drive recklessly. Yeah, just have a little bit more mindfulness, and creates a little bit more calm and all these things that meditation is just so beneficial for.
Is there a moment in your life that you can trace back to the sort of turning point where you realized that meditation was a central practice for your well-being?
There's a moment that I write about in the book, very briefly. I'd heard that it was good and central practice for my well-being long before I was actually like willing to do it. Probably years before I was willing to do it. And everyone talks about meditation. I'm like, yeah, that sounds weird. Like, monks in a cave somewhere and like whatever. That just doesn't apply to me. And then at some point was just searching for something and figured, okay, well, I at least have to give this a shot. If so many people are recommending it, that means it's at least worth trying. And the moment that I think I realized like there's something here was, it was after the trading day. My brother worked at the same firm, and he said something that triggered me. As only siblings can do. And I don't remember exactly what he said, and I don't remember the exact words of my response, but I remember like noticing like, oh, Michael, you're about to like respond here in a negative way that you're going to wish you could have back.
Wow.
not having the insight to like actually stop and change it, but having this like notice of like, oh, there's a split second here of a choice.
Eckhart Tolle talks about that in his book. I think it's The Power of Now, or no, maybe it's A New Earth, or one of the two. But in the introduction, he says he went through a period in his life where he was really depressed and having a really hard time in life, and he was laying in bed one day and just experiencing this torment, and he caught himself saying to himself, "I can't live with myself anymore," and that really stopped him. And then he said, "Wait a second, what does that mean? I can't live with myself. That means that there are two of me in here. There's a me that is experiencing this torment, and then there's another me that's watching it and being affected by it." And that key insight for me was like, oh wow, you talked earlier about like being a spirit sort of in this body and having the opportunity to breathe every day. And I've really come around to that idea that we are very much spiritual beings having a physical experience. and that there is an aspect of ourselves that is simply the watcher. It's just watching as the ego goes about its crazy shenanigans. And the more in touch we can be with that quiet, still, small watcher that is sort of behind the scenes, just sort of going for the ride, the like way more drama-free and smooth and peaceful and rewarding life can be.
Flow, right? These flow moments where people are in flow. And that's, extreme athletes tend to get there a lot. I'm sure a lot of your listeners will be able to relate to a moment when they were, performing or something where they was just like in flow and time seemed to just disappear in the normal sense. In those moments, we've become like that watcher. Like we've gotten out of our own way. All those pieces of us kind of become this one thing, and we're no longer watching or judging, but really in this moment of just flow, which is beautiful.
So when you talk to people about meditation, or when they ask you about it, a lot of people out there are still like, whoa, like you said, monks in a cave, that's a little out there. Like, I don't need to sit there and breathe. What do you tell people when you say, like, this is why it is an essential practice for your well-being? When they ask you about it, how do you describe it, or how do you position it?
I say, look, like, I just know that I'm a better person when I do this. And then I say something like, let's take 1 minute right now and just like breathe and tell me that you don't feel better at the end of it. And just to practice. I mean, it's really like right now, okay, inhale to a count of 4 and then exhale to a count of 6. And we won't even do a full minute. We'll do like 30 seconds. So there's like inhale to a count of 4 and then exhale to 6. And then inhale and exhale. One more. Inhale. Exhale. And that's it. And nobody ever does that. It's like, oh, I don't feel at least a little bit more calm or a little bit better than I did before.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really pretty amazingly simple and extremely powerful and grounding. So you wrote that you have a global goal, or maybe not a global goal, or I guess it is a global goal, to help support 5% of the world's population in developing a regular mindfulness practice.
Yeah.
That's 5% of the population is a big number.
Yeah. So I'm a big goal guy. We're beings that just function better when we have a target to shoot for. In that experience of trying to figure out, like, what's my passion? What do I want to do? What's that thing that excites me? I had a coach who asked me, like, how do you want to change the world, Michael? And my answer was like, world peace. Like, that's freaking so cliche. Like, that's so dumb. And then thought about it. I was like, well, I really would be excited to like incrementally raise the consciousness of humanity. And then got more into meditation and was like, raising the consciousness of humanity, like, how do you even measure that? That's also this like arbitrary thing. But 5% of the world's population having a mindfulness practice, like, that's something that my brain can kind of wrap its head around. TM did some studies. And when I first created this goal, like, the numbers in my head about the studies were way off, but it's essentially like, I want to say 1.3% of the population practicing TM had like a 23 or 25% decrease in crime rates. That was statistically significant, and there were like no kind of co-founding variables. And I was like, that is crazy.
TM being transcendental meditation?
Yeah, transcendental meditation.
So actually, I have a question about that. How is transcendental meditation different from what we just did or from other types of meditation?
It's mantra-based, meaning you go and they'll give you a particular sound to kind of focus on. So instead of your breath being the anchor of your attention and bringing your awareness back to your breath, you'll repeat a sound, and it's a special sound, and it's unique to you. But it's essentially a tool to help you get into that meditative state. The other thing that they do really well is provide accountability, and kind of help people really start the habit. So to have someone that's there kind of helping you get started, and you have to show up and kind of do it, and you pay a lot of money, which then also creates this like, well, I paid a lot of money, I might as well do this thing. And they encourage two practices of 20 minutes a day.
2 practices of 20 minutes a day. Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm a big fan of Headspace. I've been doing it for 567 days now in a row. And it's
Nice.
been a total game changer for me. But I'm wondering if you have apps that you've tried and recommend, or do you just go app free and just rely on your own sort of inner sense of guidance?
Yeah, I use some apps. My wife uses Headspace. She just recently, I think, passed a 100-day streak, or maybe she's even maybe that was a month or so ago. Anyway, she's so proud. She's like, look at my strong mind.
Yeah, your little badge that you get.
Yeah,
it's so great.
For those of you that haven't seen Headspace, there's like an image of a brain, and it gets stronger. Like hers is lifting this huge barbell above its head, which is awesome. But so I've used Headspace before. I like Headspace. I've used, I mentioned the Muse, which just gives that biofeedback. So it helps me to kind of see okay, when I'm thinking in this part of my brain, or when I'm having this type of thought, it tends to create this response.
The Muse, that's the headband you were talking about?
Yeah.
The Muse, okay.
There's a bunch of free downloads. Seems like more and more people are putting out meditation tracks, but I have a couple they're called binaural beats. So they play a different frequency in each ear, and that kind of helps your brain to sync up. Jonathan Fields has some good stuff. There's Vishen Lakhiani's got a 6-phase meditation practice that I've been using a lot in the morning. So I really try and incorporate a bunch of different things. And the reason that I say 5% of the population in a mindfulness practice is because I don't think there's any one type of meditation that's necessarily like the be all end all for everybody, but just the idea of taking that space, developing a better relationship with your thoughts, and giving yourself just a little bit of space outside of the hustle and bustle to just be and be present and be a human being and breathe. It just does wonders.
All right, guys, hope you enjoyed part 1 of my chat with Michael. I know I certainly did. It was a short segment, this first part, but the parts 2 and 3 coming over the next couple of weeks are much longer, and we go even deeper. In fact, next week we kick off with why he was excited when Donald Trump was elected president. He didn't vote for Donald Trump. He didn't vote for Hillary either. He had an absentee ballot, didn't have a chance to mail in, but he certainly didn't want Trump to win, but he talks about why he feels that even somebody that he doesn't want in office is a huge opportunity. It may be exactly what you're thinking, or it may not be. Excited to bring you part 2 next week, where we dive deeper into some of this stuff. As far as picks of the week go, I'll go first. My pick of the week is 22-Minute Hardcore, which is a workout program from none other than Mr. Tony Horton, which we had on the podcast in a Redux Encore episode interview series late last year, just a few episodes ago. I love that man. I'm pretty shameless about it. His life's work has changed my life, and I know so many others around the world. And P90X at this point almost feels antiquated to me now. I do, these workouts every morning. I was doing Body Beast for a while, and Body Beast is great, but this is fitness nerd Trevor talking, by the way, in case you were wondering how did this guy change gears so quickly from meditation to lifting weights? And I don't know, something in my head feels like they don't always go together. But Body Beast is great if you want to build muscle and be a bodybuilder, but it's not the greatest if you want kind of overall athleticism. And another thing I'm discovering through the Artist's Way and kind of spending this time in mindfulness and beginning to design my life is that I really want to be back in the pool. There's something about the water and swimming with my team out here, Southern California Aquatics, which I haven't been in the water with for quite a while now. But there's something about being in the water that really feeds my spirit, and I've just felt really called back to the pool. But a Body Beast body is not going to work well in the water. So I switched gears. I plugged into 22-Minute Hardcore, which is an 8 or 9 week, if you count the hell week, 9 week, basically body weight boot camp program. You can get a sandbag to go with it, but it's a lot of pull-ups, chin-ups, burpees, mountain climbers, shuffles across the floor, push-ups. It's really intense, and as the name implies, it is only 22 minutes, but I gotta say, it's one of the hardest 22 minutes I've ever experienced. I could go on and on. There's a 10-minute warm-up that I do with it every morning called Cold Start, and there's an ab routine after a few of the workouts every day. So it's not always exactly 22 minutes. I usually block out 45 minutes, but the workout you can get in those 45 minutes from head to toe is incredible. I'm on week 4 right now, and I am just absolutely in love with this thing. And I do feel like it's really setting me up for success in the water, which I'm going to be getting back into in about a month. So that's my pick of the week, 22-Minute Hardcore. Link to it on the website if you'd like to check it out. And if you do check it out and you'd like to work out with me and a few other people, I have a private group that I run where we're all doing different programs, but a lot of us have done 22-Minute Hardcore and still are doing it. And it's just cool to go through it with other people that have done it before. So you do it at home on your own schedule, but you check in online to the group, and we all support and motivate each other and ask questions and share knowledge and tips. It's really pretty cool. So if you'd like to check that out, please do, and let me know if you'd like to join us. It's totally free. So AJ's pick of the week. What you got, brother?
So my pick of the week this week is an app. I know I've done apps in the past, but it's an app, and it's a little bit different than most apps you might find out there. It was passed along to me by an artist that I have worked with in a musical workshop actually that I did when I was still in New York. And she is a trans musical theater performer, so it makes sense that she would want to be super involved in what's going on with our politics these days. But it's an app called Countable, and it really it makes it super easy for you to get involved with your with the political process in the U.S. So if you're listening to this, you're not from the U.S., I don't know, maybe you can download it anyway if you're curious. But it has all kinds of stuff in there. There's news. You can connect with people, either your friends or other, just random people that are in the app, to discuss issues. When you put in your postal code, it shows you who your representatives are, and it gives you a really easy way to contact those people so that your voice can be heard. You can leave them video messages, phone messages, emails, I believe. I haven't explored the entirety of the app, but what a really awesome way to get involved right now, and especially right now with everything that's going on. So the app is called Countable, and it's available on both iOS and Android. So we're not leaving out our Android friends this time. So check it out. Countable.us, I believe, is their website. And, of course, there'll be a link in the show notes.
All right. Countable. There it is. That sounds awesome. I'm definitely going to check that out. I am really, what's the word I'm looking for? Anxious maybe, but not necessarily anxious because there's no fear in it. I'm really fascinated by what I think these next few weeks and months are going to look like under a Trump administration. Whether you voted for him or not, I think it's pretty hard to argue that his rhetoric and his administration and his actions so far in just these first few days in office are not divisive. If anything, they are polarizing the country into really one side versus the other, and certainly mobilizing people. And I was just reading this morning that he just signed an executive order to restart construction of the Keystone XL and North Dakota Access Pipeline, which were hard-fought and hard-won victories by environmentalists. And I'm a passionate environmentalist. I believe very strongly in taking care of the planet and other species, and species are dying off at about 10,000 times the natural rate of die-off right now, and it's directly linked to human activity. So stuff like this is pretty terrifying. Plus, his administration has ordered a complete freeze on the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. They're basically not allowed to hand out any grants, sign any memos, do anything for the time being, which is apparently not terribly out of place for a new administration, but in this case it is, because it's a full stop when usually there's just sort of like the new administration wants to sort of get a handle on things and not have the different agencies doing stuff on their own before the administration can kind of step in and start to shape those things. But in this case, everything I've read is that this is actually very sort of alarming how incredibly strong-armed some of these agencies feel, especially the EPA. And if you've looked at Trump's cabinet, there's definitely reason to be a little concerned. But I'm excited to see how things pan out over these next few weeks and months, just because it's activating people. 750,000 plus people marching in LA during the Women's March last week. I know I'm talking a lot about politics here, so I'll wrap this up. But exciting times, guys, right? Exciting. That's one word for it. Exciting. All right, so picks of the week, that is 22-Minute Hardcore and Countable.us. Links to those on our website. Today's episode of Inside Acting was produced and hosted by me, Trevor Algatt. AJ, our co-host, sent in the pre-recorded segment and will be joining us again very soon. Jen Levin is our production coordinator, Gedali Gubrek is our marketing and web director, and Deborah Smith is our community manager. Fern Lim designed our awesome logo. You can sign up for our weekly email dispatch and listen to all of our episodes at our website, insideacting.net. Also find us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes. We're all over the place. And if you do nothing else, a nice review on iTunes really goes a long way for us. Giving us a nice 5-star review and sharing what you enjoy about the show helps other people discover the show and trust that it's something to check out. And it really helps us grow. iTunes is definitely the go-to for podcasts on the web. So leaving us some love there really, really helps. And if you'd like to financially contribute, you can certainly do that as well. One-time donations are always welcome. No amount is too small. You can donate to the show at insideacting.net/contribute. We accept payments via Square, PayPal, and Venmo. And if you'd like to sign up as a member, you can do that too. insideacting.net/members or membership. Both links will take you to a place to sign up. And you can contribute $7 a month and get access to our community and perks and gatherings and all sorts of cool stuff, including the Artist's Way cluster. Big thanks to our sponsors, Rehearsal Pro and VO2GoGo.com, and a big thanks to you guys who have supported this show so far, those of you who are thinking about supporting it as well. Really, really appreciate your love. All right, that's it for episode 264 of Inside Acting. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next week. And in the meantime, breathe.